Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Blue Monday podcast. We may still be in partial lockdown, but today we have a special guest and I'm delighted to welcome to the pod former Town player and penalty taker extraordinaire, Tommy Miller. How are you? Tommy, how are you? First of all, many thanks for coming on.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem.
Sorry for all the messages back and forth trying to sort out the link and stuff, but no, that's really kind of you. Thanks.
No, it's not a problem. As soon as you got in touch, I was delighted to come on the show.
Brilliant, mate. So how have things been with you and the family, during lockdown? What have you been? Have you kept busy? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I've been doing lots of things in the garden. A lot of painting, fences, sheds, trellises, jet washing. I've been pretty busy.
I think everybody's done that. Although I did see you in the garden. I assume that was your garden, doing a bit of nifty keepy up and a bit of swivel turn and a volley into a nice goal, I saw.
Yeah, I still try and do it.
You haven't lost it, mate. You really haven't lost it. So obviously you want to talk, primarily want to talk about your days at Portman Road, your days at Ipswich. But just before lockdown, so in the last season or so, you've been with Spennymoor Town?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Assistant manager?
Assistant manager, yeah.
Yeah. So that's National League North, yeah?
Correct.
And so, what's the situation? What's the situation with the National League and finishing the season or not finishing the season? Because I did a bit of research and I see you're just about on the cusp of the playoffs, aren't you? In sixth or just in the playoffs, I assume.
Yeah, we were in the playoffs.
There
was teams around us who had games in hand as well.
Yeah.
So obviously the season's been finished. They're still awaiting the outcome of if anyone goes up or anyone goes down. So it's a bit up in the air, like all the other leagues, really.
Yeah. So I think it was York, and York are up there. York are top, aren't they? And I again had a little look through the league, and familiar names in that league: York, Darlington, Chester. I mean, all ex-league clubs, not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good league, very competitive. And as you just said, there's some good football teams in there who's been in the Football League. Boston's another one. And,
Boston, yeah.
Kings Lynn, second in the league. Believe it or not, they're in the National League North.
It's I know, because I'll tell you why I know that. Lowestoft Town, which is fairly local to us, they got as far as the National League North and got as far as the National League and were deposited in National League North. So probably that becomes away, midweek away games to Spennymoor and places like that. Nightmare. Oh, but Kings Lynn is Ian Culverhouse, the old Norwich player. He's coached there, and I think he's doing a pretty decent job there.
Yeah, that's right. They've got a good team. Good team. They were sitting second, and they had I think it was 2 or 3 games in hand. So
okay. And last season you just got nipped in the playoffs, didn't you?
Yeah. Last season we got beaten in the playoff final on penalties.
I'll tell you what, mate. I'll tell you what, Tommy. I've been looking through your career, and playoffs figure quite highly, don't they, mate? They really do. You've been through it. You have been through it. So just take us back, because obviously, as I said to you on Twitter the other day, you are one of the few players that, technically have had 3 spells at the club. Obviously, most famous probably being the legend that is John Walk, Darren Ambrose, Richard Wright had 3 sort of spells at the club. So how did you? So going back, you were on schoolboy, sort of associate schoolboy forms with the town. How did that all come about?
Yeah, it was through my Sunday team, really. I got scouted up in the northeast, played for Shotton Boys, who were my dad was the manager. So I used to get a grilling week in, week out, even if we won. Yeah. But now the scouts spotted me, and I went down on trial, got the train down, changed at Peterborough into Ipswich, played a few games, trial games, and they said, we'd like to sign you on a 2-year deal. This is when I was 14-year-old.
Wow. Yeah. So that's on back then. It was like, it's not that long ago, but that's like schoolboy forms, yeah. Schoolboy
forms for 2 years, yeah.
So who else? Well, I think I know one of the answers. Who else of note was in your age group, in your year group?
Kieran Dyer.
You're like 10 days apart, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what a fantastic player! You could tell then.
Really? He was tiny, but he was like tiny then, wasn't he?
He was smaller than me, but he was very quick and very sharp, and he had great feet, and he could run all day. You could tell he was going to go on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else get picked up for stay with the town through that age group, or not really?
John Kennedy, Chris Keeble.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Matthew Upson was there for a short spell, but then he went to Luton.
Oh yeah, Luton, Arsenal, yeah.
And then the year above, you had Richard Naylor, Richard Wright, Scoey, James Scowcroft. So Ipswich were renowned for having good youth and good talent, and there was plenty at that time.
And also back in those days, Tommy, the North East was a very popular area for town. They picked up, and it has been over the years. Certainly back in those days when you were perhaps allowed to, more freedom there. Yeah, always big for town. So obviously you were released at what, 15, 16. You were surprised or?
A little bit surprised. I was released just before I was 16. It was about a couple of weeks before my birthday. So it didn't go down well. I remember sort of being in the office, and he said, "Listen, one of the reasons is you're too small." I was 5'2" when I left school, so I was tiny in this little puny thing. And I remember sort of walking into the town centre with Kieran Dyer, and sort of said, "Well, that's me now. He's obviously gone," and he went his way, and I went mine, and I was back on the train back to the North East. And
so obviously back then it was just, as you're only like 14, 15, it was just like school holidays and stuff you'd spend down here and
mainly. But I mean, I did used to come down on a Saturday morning, get the train down, stay with the family on the Saturday night, and then play on the Sunday for the under 15s or under 16s, and then back to school on the Monday, back home after the game. So it was a bit of a mission, but it was an enjoyable one.
Yeah. So then. So obviously you get released, and then you join Hartlepool almost fairly immediately, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I got released, devastated, heartbroken. I thought that was the end of the world. I was going to go to college, actually. I just signed up for a leisure and tourism course at college. And then a friend of mine called Brian Honor, who's a bit of a Hartlepool legend, said, "Why don't you come into Hartlepool and train with us?" So I went in and trained with them. They'd already agreed for their YTS places for that year, so they applied to the Football League to get an extra place, and that was me. So I got on that way, and obviously I did quite well there, and ended up back at Ipswich. Well,
yeah, I mean just a little bit. So better than obviously better than well. So I ended up over 136. Obviously had your league. Can you remember much about your league debut there
at Hartlepool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. It was I came on against Chester as a substitute. We got 3-1 at the Diva Stadium, and obviously Chester are now in our league, Spennymoors League.
Yeah.
And then the week after, we played Doncaster away, which was my full debut, my first start. We were getting beat 2-0, and we drew 2-2. And I managed to get crocked in that game. One of the rough lads came through me and my ankle ligament, so I was out for 5 weeks after that. So welcome to Division 3.
You remember that, and was that at the Keep Moat or at the old stadium?
That was at Bellevue.
Yeah, Bellevue.
Yeah, Doncaster. Yeah.
Did I also see that at some point whilst you were there that Peter Beardsley could have been there briefly?
Peter Beardsley was there briefly. I played a season with him, and obviously growing up, he was a hero of mine. One of my favourite players, and when he come to Hartlepool, well, it was just sort of a dream. But he was playing centre midfield, and if we played 4-4-2, I was playing alongside him. Well,
wow!
I can tell you, I was doing all his running. But
in possession,
Rolls Royce, what a player! I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tommy. Were you a Newcastle fan? Is that your club?
No, Sunderland.
Oh, okay. I thought.
I liked him when he played for Liverpool.
That's superb. So Division 3 playoffs. I mean, and you were prolific. From midfield. That obviously, I think, 2009. 1999, 2000. 16 goals, 20 goals in 2000, 2001 from midfield. I mean, obviously prolific, and obviously brought you to the attention of of bigger clubs. I mean, interesting enough, when Ipswich came in for you again, was it almost a feel of unfinished? I know it was some years before and you were a kid, but was it almost a feel of, this is a club, this is where I want to go and really prove myself and show them? Was that sort of thing, or did you have other opportunities at that stage?
Yeah, there was a couple of clubs who agreed a fee. Coventry, Crewe, at the time. I went to speak to both of them, and then obviously George Burley at Ipswich wanted me to go down there, and I thought Ipswich had just had a fantastic season in the Premier League, had qualified for Europe, It was an opportunity I could not turn down. I knew it was a massive jump from Division 3. There's no doubt about it. I knew I'd have to bide my time, and I wasn't going to go straight into the team. But I just thought, I knew the area, I knew the place, and I just wanted to get back there.
And signed the same summer, obviously, as Finidi George.
I did. What a character! You couldn't make it up, could you? You've got me coming from Hartlepool, and George, one of the world stars, probably, when he's played in World Cups galore.
Unbelievable. Just quickly, just while we mention him, I mean, what was he like? What was he like in training and stuff? I mean, okay, we saw glimpses of him. You know, remember the chip he scored against Sunderland, overhead kick against Spurs, and that very, I was there for his debut. I mean, I think only time the Sun back then had awarded anyone like 10 out of 10 against Derby. I mean, how was he in training, stuff like that?
Well, let me tell you now, for the first 10, 15 minutes, he was outstanding. And then after that, he was on the floor. He was goosed. He was bending over, hands on his hips, absolutely pagged.
Yeah.
And, the fitness coach at the time, Simon Tadani, he couldn't put his finger on it. He was doing all these tests with him. And I think Finidi had said he was 32 when he signed, but I think that's debatable.
It was that dodgy passport thing. And something else I did pick up on also, just before you, in that period before you joined town, didn't you have a chance of a loan spell in Norway and potentially playing in the Champions League?
I did. The Hartlepool season had finished, and Hartlepool had links with Brandbergen.
All right.
So I ended up going over there for 3-4 weeks. Trained with them. Again, a good experience. And they were interested in doing something. But if truth be told, I don't think I was ready to go there. You know what I mean? I'd rather have stayed in England at the time. But obviously, it was a good experience training with them over there. And
obviously now, coming into Ipswich, as you said, after the unbelievable season, how was it? I mean, how was the feeling around the club? Was the feeling of confidence? And obviously in that close season, Richard Wright had left, James Scowcroft had gone, effectively replaced with, Finidi and obviously Matteo Serini as well. But, can you remember back to that season and, was there confidence going into the season, that they could not perhaps emulate it, but at least, achieve something, do you think?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the lads were buzzing, the whole town was on a high. Yeah. Expectation was massive. They were thinking if they could do the same again or can they go one better, it would be brilliant. But I mean, I think obviously the season they had in the Premier League was superb, and I think because they were a bit of an unknown identity, they surprised a lot of teams, most teams, and it's always hard at the second season. Obviously it was a struggle, and maybe teams worked out how they played or how we played and stuff like that. So it was difficult. No, I think that's understood. And your debut, I think, in Helsingborg, was it your actual debut? My debut was in Russia, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, in Europe. I came I think it was 0-0. It was certainly a draw. It was either 1-1 or 0-0.
I think we might have won, actually. Did we not win? I think Finidi certainly scored. I think we might have actually won. I think we drew the home game and perhaps won that game.
I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to double check, but I thought it was a draw.
You might be right. You might.
I remember Vino saying there's not many teams come to Russia and get a draw or something like that. So I'm not sure, but you might be right. You might be right.
And then can you remember your first sort of league appearance?
I think my full debut was against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think, and it was unbelievable. I had a decent game. I got man of the match. In the last chapter. Marcus Bent missed a penalty.
I know.
We should have beat them, really.
I mean, funny enough, we talked with my fellow colleagues on the when they knew you were coming on the pod about that, and they say, ask him, would he have felt confident on his debut? What if he'd have taken that penalty? Surely he'd have just rolled it in, like he always did.
Yeah, well, I wasn't getting that off Marcus Bench, no chance. Not on my first game.
And you obviously played in the run-in then. I mean, I think you played. I know you certainly played in that game at in that final game at Liverpool. Did you also play in the game where it all really went wrong? The game at Bolton when I think we're 4-0 down at half time.
No, I don't think I did play in that game.
Yeah,
I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I don't think I did. No.
I mean, it was just a tough run-in. I think you probably played in the Man U game where I think Van Nistelrooy took a bit of a dive, and again, it's fine lines and fine margins, but over the course of the season, we just weren't good enough, as a group and as a team, and Yeah, thinking back, I don't know if you if you probably were involved or certainly around. It was those two games. It was the when I think we'd won like 8 games out of 9, and then got absolutely walloped by Liverpool at home 6, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think the next home game I think was Southampton. We think, okay, yeah, it was only Southampton, and we got beat that, and that was it. That was the downward. Yeah, it just did for us, didn't it? Really.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I remember watching the Liverpool game. I was in the stand. I wasn't involved that day, and they absolutely tore us apart.
Yeah.
I think to get beat 6 at home, it absolutely soul destroyed. And that sort of knocked.
Well, I think, to be fair, at one stage they had a front three of Mike Galloway, Emil Heskey, and Nicholas Anelka. So, to be fair,
not bad.
So we get now to obviously the first season under relegation, 2002-03. I mean, I think everyone's favourites to sort of bounce back up. I was very narrowly, I think, obviously by 4 points in the end. But given that the run we did have the season before, pretty much the same squad. I think people, well, most people in football expected us to bounce back. But after a sort of half decent start, again the wheels came off.
Yeah, they did. It was disappointing. Like you say, we're one of the favourites to bounce back and try and get back into the promised land, the Premier League where you want to be.
Yeah.
And we didn't quite make it. We went again over the course of the season. We weren't good enough.
I remember. I actually remember being at that game at Grimsby. Don't ask me why, but I was that midweek game at Grimsby, which was it for George, wasn't it? I mean, 3-0. And then George left. And then so George. So how did you feel? I mean, obviously George had, I say primarily released you in the first instance, but then George had obviously signed you back. How did you feel when obviously George, who had re-signed you, effectively left, and then Joe Royle took over?
Yeah, I mean, obviously George was a legend at Ipswich, for what he'd done for the club. Took them to Europe, obviously the 5th place finish in the Premier League. Fantastic manager, got them up there. And maybe it was just time for him to move on. A fresh start for him, a new challenge. But I'm sure he'll always be remembered fondly at Ipswich Town, and also as a player when he played there.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Back. So obviously then Joe Royle comes in, and totally different sort of style of playing, very attack minded.
Yeah.
And as you know, and as the fans know, I mean, some of the games at Portman Road must have been quite enthralling and thrilling.
Brilliant. I mean, that's where I first really saw you, and I always thought your understanding with Pablo. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I didn't have to look. I just knew where Pablo was. He could be round the corner. I knew he was there. I would just play balls around the corner and first time, and he would always be there. And back to goal, he was something else. He could twist defenders. He could move them all over. He was so strong, and he had a nasty side in him. But technically as well, he could score also. He was superb to play with, a real pleasure. I
agree with you. I think he's one of the best players I've seen actually ever. I think when he's back to goal, absolutely outstanding player.
Super.
What sort of just out of interest? What sort of trainer was he? Again, obviously Spanish, bit Mediterranean, bit laid back. Was he good trainer?
Yeah, he was a good trainer.
Yeah.
He was fine. There was a few incidents where if the defenders got tight to him and he kicked him, he didn't like it. He'd retaliate.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a hothead. He'd lose it, and there was a few incidents in training where he had a few rumbles with a few teammates. He could certainly give it as much as he got it, But he was a good trainer.
So that 2002-03, 24 appearances, 6 goals, including one at Anfield in the Worthington Cup. Remember that?
I do. Yeah, loved it. Obviously at the Cup end.
Was it? Oh wow.
Yeah. So and then obviously we went to penalties and scored at the Cup end as well in the shootout, but so close. We took them so close and so far. It was obviously the penalty shootout. It's 50-50.
Yeah, okay. I've been asked to ask you a question about one penalty, and the one penalty you effectively missed against Forest.
Yeah. Darren Ward was the goalkeeper who later came to Sunderland when I was there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As soon as he walked in, he went, "Why was that penalty, Rico?" And I said to him, "I couldn't tell you." It sort of hits the post, rolls along the line, and you're not sure. It definitely didn't cross the line. And then I don't know whether the keeper's moved. Anyway, I was delighted when the ref sort of said, "Listen, retake." And
I can't remember what you did. Did you go same side? Did you psych him, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, delighted when it went in relief.
And how was it? Just, I mean, again, another game that I remember that season was that home game against Portsmouth. That was superb. You know, again, some of the football, you and Pablo and Jamie Clapham, and just outstanding stuff. Yeah. Listen, how is it playing alongside Jim Magilton in midfield?
Oh, it was brilliant. You know, it was. Don't get me wrong, there were downs as well. You know, he'd screaming and shouting at you. I mean, you'd come off the pitch and you had earache. Because he just wanted the ball. You know, you all know what sort of player he was. He was a ball player. He was playmaker. You know, he was a midfield maestro.
Yeah.
But he'd want the ball on the edge of his own 6-yard box with people around him, and you're thinking, Jim, give me the ball. Just give me the ball.
Yeah.
It was constant, but a wonderful footballer. And there was times when obviously Joe had the team, and he was putting Jim on the right-hand side of midfield and me in the middle. And after 5 minutes, it was like, Tommy, get to the right-hand side. We'll have a little switch.
Yeah.
But no, it worked well. And like I said, a fantastic footballer.
Yeah. So next season, 27 appearances, 11 goals. So the goals are starting to rack up. Did you get injured that? Can you remember, did you have an injury that season?
I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. Again, my memory's not great.
Chris Bart Williams came in. Chris Bart Williams came in on loan. We had Alan Marn for a bit. So again, still some good players in the squad. Darren Bent, Pablo, Shefke, Jim Magilton still there. Kelvin Davis. Obviously, Matt Holland had moved on. Obviously, sorry, should have dwelt on that the season before. Obviously, going into administration. Tough times, really.
Yeah, it was tough times. It was a sad time for the club, and no one likes to see it. And obviously, it affected everyone really. You know, we obviously clubbed together and deferred our wages, and which we later got back at a later date. But it was a tough time, you know, with the club going into administration.
And incredibly, still made the playoffs though. West Ham, the first season against West Ham.
Yeah.
Remember? I mean, obviously, we win the first leg. Remember much about the second leg at Upton Park? I know that it was absolutely banging, wasn't it?
Yeah, the atmosphere was brilliant. Oh, fantastic ground, that, you know, the old ground.
Oh, I loved it.
Upton Park. It was superb. And is this the first year? Is this when did I score that game, or was that the year after?
No, year after. So this is a game where Benty misses one. He scored a lot. He scored 20. Well, he scored if not that season, but Benty's 1-on-1 quite early on and drags it.
Yeah.
And then we're still well in the game. Etherington scores a world.
Yeah.
And then
fantastic goal.
They go 2 up, and then Westlake hits the post last minute.
Yeah, and then did Christian Daly not score that game? No.
Yeah, dribbled in. Yeah, horrible. Yeah, the total opposite to Everton.
Yeah.
So again with that, you've reached the playoffs. You know, obviously had all that adversity from the season before, and the hangover from that have come through all that. Confidence still high for the next season, 2004-05.
Yeah, ready to go again. You know, ready to go again. A few additions into the squad, into the team. And obviously, we were just desperate to get back to the Premier League. You know, we're desperate.
Mate, that was a season where, I mean, you were a fixture. 45 league games, 13 goals. And I'll tell you what's a feature of that when you look through the team, Darren Bent, DeVos, Shefke, Naylor, Westlake, Wilness, all 40-plus games. So you had that real core of the side right the way through the season. From a fan's point of view, just should have been our season. And I don't know as a player how you feel about it, but that freak injury to Shefke in February, where I think he misses 4 games, we get 1 point, and more crucially, we get beat at Wigan. Yeah,
I think that was the turning point. You know, like you say, I think we played QPR and Watford. We had 2 home games on the Saturday and the Tuesday. I think it was. I'm sure it was them 2 teams.
Yeah, you're right.
And Shefke obviously missed them. He was desperate to play, but he had a big gash in his thigh, or he just couldn't. It wasn't possible. And the way he was playing, you know, he was unplayable. He was just an absolute machine.
Beast,
no one could handle him. A beast, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was missed in them 2 key home games, and like I say, we just missed out, and it still bugs me now. You know how we never went up that year.
Well, I knew we should have been up and forgotten about it. It was just one of those. It was just one of those seasons. I remember that it was the game against QPR where Kelvin Davis takes a goal kick and it hits Furlong on the backside, and he turns around and the ball's in front of him 1-on-1. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, quite rightly you said that. I was at the first game at West Ham where we're 2-0 down quite early on, fearing the worst. Really they're ripping us apart. I remember certainly from Etherington, from wide areas, And 5 minutes before half time, I go down for a beer with my mates to make sure we get a beer, a sort of big cheer, and you've sort of, well, yeah, I think your free kick sort of hits a post, hits a keeper gate. You'd claim that, wouldn't you?
I think Jimmy Watt was on the coaching staff, isn't he? That was the goalkeeper. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
It hits the post, it hits him on the head, and it goes in the net. So yeah, it's definitely my goal. Definitely.
Yeah. There you go. And then Sheffield gets sort of, again, a bit of a scrambled equaliser. But what I remember of that game, one of the best saves I've ever seen by Kelvin Davis from Elliot Ward from the header. Unbelievable.
Yeah, save. I remember it. Yeah, he was a superb keeper. Superb keeper. He followed me to Sunderland and didn't.
Well, nice.
Yeah, but he was fantastic for Ipswich.
So it sort of comes to an end, but just comes to an end that season. Just quickly, Scott, talk us through about Scotland potentially.
Yeah, Willie Donaghy got on to me. He said, "Listen, have you got anything to do with Scotland? Have you got any sort of grandparents or any cousins or anything?" And I said, "Well, me grand's Scottish." And he went, "Well, get that birth certificate brought in." So I brought it in, and he sent it all to the Scottish FA, and they started watching me, and then I ended up getting invited to a few training camps, and I went. Oh, wow. And Bertie Vokes was the manager.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because I'd gone up and I'd gone into the room when we had a meeting, and Bertie Vokes has called everyone in and gone, "On behalf of the German FA, the Scottish FA, I'd like to thank you all for coming." I thought, what is going on here? And the Scottish football at the time wasn't great. The national side was struggling. England had just won the Rugby World Cup.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
So in hindsight, I don't think my heart really wasn't in it, if truth be told. To play for Scotland. Now I look back and I think it could have been a fantastic opportunity, but I just felt too English and too, I don't know, at the time.
Yeah. Who did they have around? Can you remember who they had around the squad at that time?
Yeah, there was Scott Brown, there was Chris Boyd.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah,
there was some good characters, but like I said, I just didn't feel really Scottish or really warranted to play for Scotland. You know what I mean? I thought I'm English, and a lot of players are different, and a lot of players sort of, if the dog's Irish, they'll play for Ireland. You know what I mean? But that's just how I felt at that time. And looking back, was it a good opportunity? Possibly, but no regrets.
So we're now into 2005-06. You were offered a new deal by Town?
Well, it was funny because it was coming towards the end of the season, and I was having a word with Joe Royal, and I was saying, "Listen, Joe, what's happening next season?" And he went, "Well, I can't really offer you anything. I don't know what league we're going to be in, and bits and bobs." So the longer it went on,
and you were hanging there.
Yeah, the more interest was getting shown from elsewhere. In hindsight, if Ipswich had put a contract in front of me, I'd have signed it. Do you know what I mean? I loved it that much. I was enjoying it, and then, like I said, the longer it goes on, the few teams are interested, and then Sunderland obviously being one of them. And I went on holiday to Portugal, and Mick McCarthy was in Portugal at the same time, and I sort of got a phone call. He went, "Oh, I'm just down the road in Albo." He said, "I'll come up to Villamore and I'll meet you." So I met him in one of the hotels and I had a bit chat with him. I mean, he didn't have to sell me the club. I knew all about the club, having went to watch them when I was a young boy. Sunderland is a massive football team, obviously a local side to myself. Yeah. So it was one of them where, this seems right. I made my mind up more or less then when I was on holiday.
Oh, for a fan, as a boyhood fan, a dream come true, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. On my doorstep, 15 minutes or whatever from where I'm from. And like I've just said, I used to go and watch the games, and it was an opportunity. Listen, I could have went to Leeds, who were in the Championship.
So Celtic showed some interest as well.
Yeah. Leeds offered me a better deal, a better contract, an extra year. But it wasn't about that. It was about really wanting to put the red and white shirt on. And as much as I didn't want to leave Ipswich, you know what I mean, it was one of them where I just couldn't turn it down. And if Ipswich had put something on the table, I'd have signed because
I suppose it was that unknown, wasn't it? 2 years on the trot, being so close. I suppose, yeah, it was. I mean, as an Ipswich fan, it was really sad to see because the side really started to really break up. The very next season. So your first season in the Your first season in the Premier League under Mick to start with, didn't go so well, it's fair to say.
No, it didn't. I mean, Mick's hands were tied to a certain extent. He didn't have much money to spend like all the other clubs really, and I think he had what he had, and he was trying to get players in, on the cheap really, and there's a big jump from the Championship to the Premier League, and if you don't sort of get the right fit in, get the right players in, you need quality. You need absolute quality to stay in the Premier League. A bit of luck as well, but we just didn't have it.
I must admit, no disrespect to yourself or any of the other players, but I did look through that squad, and it looked thin. It did look pretty thin.
It was a very good Championship team still, I think. I think, like I said, Mick didn't get the players in he'd have liked. Certainly top end players, the millions and millions to spend, which you need at the Premier League. There's no doubt about it.
And obviously, from an Ipswich point of view, how was it those few months under Mick? I know, obviously you were struggling as a team, but how was it? How was he as a coach? How was your man manager?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a straight talking geezer. He's a fantastic man manager. I lived next door to him for 6 months.
Did you?
It's fun because I'd signed and I knew obviously where I was going to live, and it was just a new building. It was going to be about 5-6 months to be ready. And there was these apartments on the same sort of development, and I decided to get one of them. So I've gone to look at it one day, and I've drove through the entrance, and I've pulled my car around, and I've parked in between two spaces. There's loads of spaces. I thought I'll be fine. So I've gone upstairs. The woman's showing us around, and I thought, yeah, this is great. This will do me until the house is ready. And there's a big bang on the door. It's just a proper bang, and it's not going away. And the woman's going, it's a bit strange. So she opens the door, and he's Mick, absolutely fuming. And he's going, do you mind moving your effing car? And I'm looking at him thinking, oh, sorry, Gaffer, I didn't realise you lived here. Well, I do now. Move your effing car. He'd have ripped my head off if he could have gotten through them doors, I tell you. So anyway, I got the apartment and I lived next door.
Oh, dear. Did you upset him with your parking anymore then, or not?
Oh no, I made sure I parked in the right spot. Yeah.
So then Niall Quinn and the whole consortium thing comes along. I think Kevin Ball is installed as sort of caretaker manager. Then the whole consortium thing with Niall Quinn comes around. How was that? How did that feel?
Yeah, you could see things were changing. The whole consortium, they were promising to pump millions and millions into the club, which is what it needed. If they were to get to the Premier League and to stay in the Premier League, that's what they needed. They needed money. The squad of players we had, wasn't good enough. And it needed improving. In the first 3 games, we got beat in the Championship, after being relegated, so it wasn't a good start. The 3rd game was against Plymouth, and I got crocked after about 60 minutes. Got a nasty blow to my ankle, and again, I was out for about 6 weeks. Now, within the space of a week, Roy Keane's appointed, and I think his first week, or certainly by the 2nd week, there was 5 new players in, 3 of them were midfielders, and I was looking from afar and I was thinking, what a legend. Roy Keane, legend, loved him when he played, fantastic character, what a superb, I thought this is brilliant. And he made lots of changes and he spent lots of money and he got Sunderland back to the Premier League. Yeah.
You went on loan to Preston that season?
I did, yeah. It was funny because Ipswich were interested as well.
I remember.
So Preston, it's a bit closer. I can do the commute. It was only going to be for 2 months, I think it was. Roy Keane was wanting us to go to Ipswich rather than Preston because Preston were, I think, 4th or 5th in the Championship at the time, and Ipswich
we were not competing.
Going down, and Sunderland, I think, were mid-table-ish. So I think it didn't look great on him if I went to a team that were obviously doing better than Sunderland.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and I think it was my 4th game. We were due to play Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. And Paul Simpson has pulled us in and he went, have you heard anything from Roy or Sunderland about Saturday? And I went, I haven't heard a thing. He said, well, there's nothing in the contract, the loan agreement, to say you're not allowed to play.
Yeah.
So as the days were going on and Saturday was getting closer, nothing was mentioned. So I thought, I'm playing here. So it was a real surreal experience, strange, I'd gone there and we beat them 1-0.
Wow.
If I'm perfectly honest with you, I was absolutely buzzing.
I bet you were.
To sort of show him, really. Obviously, my loyalties were still with Sunderland because I was their player, but at the same time, inside, I was delighted we'd won, because I was playing for Preston.
That's kind of weird. Did you get any sort of reception from the crowd or anything? Or
It was very strange, very strange. I think I did a little bit of a celebration when the goal went in because it was hard for us to sort of keep my emotions in check.
Yeah.
And there was a few boos, you know, and it was like, maybe I shouldn't have done it, but at the same time, I wanted to win. I wanted to win. Simple as that. I wanted to win.
You mentioned your goal celebrations. You had one or two at Ipswich, didn't you? I remember there was a snooker. You had a snooker queue one, didn't you?
Yeah,
you had that going on.
Golf. I had a watch one. Yeah, just crazy. You know, I used to love sort of obviously scoring goals and then doing daft things after it. Really.
So released. You know, of that season released. Other interests. I mean, I've got here other interests. Bizarrely, Coventry potentially, Sheffield Wednesday, Forest Leeds, Steaua Bucharest. I mean, was there anything in that or not?
I read it in the newspaper, like probably a lot of other people, and there was certainly no sort of phone call made or anything like that. Very bizarre. I don't know where that came from. Leeds, obviously we're interested. And they were just down the road. They were League One.
Yeah, but massive.
Dennis Wise and Poyet were there in charge.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow. Yeah.
I remember going to speak to them actually. And I spoke to them when I left Ipswich as well the first time.
Yeah.
In 2005, and Ken Bates walked in, and he more or less went, "I hope you're signing Miller," and blah blah blah. And obviously I didn't. Kevin Blackwell was the manager then. So fast forward to 2007, I've gone down for talks with Dennis Wise and Poyet, and Bates comes in again, and he goes, "Oi, Miller," he said, "if you don't sign, I know which school your kids go to." And I went, obviously a joke.
Oh yeah, but
I'm hoping he was joking.
Yeah.
And I went, "You'll have a hard job because they're only 6 months old." But no, it was close. But obviously, I just thought unfinished business. Let's get back to Ipswich, and obviously Jim.
Again, was it Jim on the phone and bending your ear and come back and we need you and?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to beg really. As soon as Jim sort of showed an interest, then I knew where I was going. You know, obviously close with him. I wanted to play for him, and I wanted to come back to Ipswich. And like I said, unfinished business. The playoff semi-final defeat still hurt. Yeah. And I wanted to try and help the club get back to the Premier League. And
Pablo came back same summer, yeah.
Yeah, so it worked well in that sense, yeah.
As a supporter, we can believe it. I was like, what's going on? It's almost like the band's getting back together. You know what I
mean? yeah.
Oh, thanks. Any sort of, any in the 2 years you've been away, any sort of, other than obviously Jim now manager and stuff, but any other sort of big changes you noticed? Anything different around the club?
Not really. Jim's obviously trying to stamp his mark on the job, and he's got his ideas and obviously very passionate, very intense. Yeah. But he just loves football. You know what I mean? He's just 24/7, and it was a pleasure to play for him. There was times when I let him down. Other players let him down as well, and it hurt. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to hurt him down because I had such a fantastic relationship. That
was another question I had actually. So how did that sort of play out for you? So obviously playing alongside him in midfield, you knew what he was like. Demanding character and pretty full on, and then being managing him by him, kind of hard sort of transition. Oh.
Yeah, it was at first because obviously
you're his mate,
Yeah, exactly. So I would look at him some days and he would sort of look at me and he would laugh, and it was a case of how's it come to this? How am I the manager? You back playing and all sorts of different sort of scenarios. Yeah. But as the sort of weeks and the months got on, you adjusted. You know what I mean? And there was no doubt about it. He was the manager and I was the player, and he grew into the role. He was a youngish manager. You know what I mean?
Well, again, that season, what a mad season that was. 1 point off the playoffs, we just couldn't win an away game. So again, you look at the stats of that season. We finished home form. We're top on home form. 22nd on away form. We win three away games. I mean, what was that? How did that? I mean, did it just almost get into sort of like a mental thing?
I think it was the bus. The bus wasn't very comfortable. No, jokes apart, we couldn't believe it. Like you say, our home form was unbelievable.
Just blowing teams away.
Frightening. And then going away from home, there was nothing really changing. Although we did try little things because it wasn't working. Maybe tactics, maybe formations, personnel to a certain extent. But we couldn't believe it. It was so chalk and cheese from home and away.
I think it was something like 52 points at home, 17 away. It's just bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you'd have gotten a few more points away from home, then obviously you would have been where we would have wanted in the playoffs or automatically.
Easily or close, yeah. It's only made a big breakthrough that season. I didn't quite realise he played so many games. Owen Garvin played like 45 games that season. Good player.
Yeah, good football. The sort of style he's got. He was very sort of laid back, very casual, but so composed on the ball. You could see a pass. A very good footballer. And I thought he would have went on to maybe bigger and better things.
Me too.
Whether it would have been with Ipswich or certainly higher level. But it's a shame. But he certainly did well for Ipswich. A good talented footballer.
Yeah. So 38 appearances, 5 goals, and then we get to the next season. Obviously, Marcus Evans comes along. 37 league appearances, 5 goals. I'll tell you what interesting about this season. Who do you think highest appearance maker by an outfield player? Pablo, 47 games. Can you believe that? 47 games. Well, that was going to change, wasn't it? That was going to change soon. 8th place this time. Yeah, quite a way off Preston in 6th. I mean, and weirdly, so 3 games from the end of the season, suddenly Jim has gone, Midgilton's gone, and an old manager of yours gets appointed.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it got to about March time, and my contract was running out, and I was having discussions with Jim, and I was saying, "Listen, what's happening? Am I staying? Am I going?" And he went, "Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you." He said, "If we don't get in the playoffs, I think my time's going to be up anyway."
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, there was obviously talk of a takeover and money coming in, investment coming in, and there was names getting mentioned of who's getting the job, and he more or less just said to me, "Listen, if you can get yourself sorted, get yourself sorted." So
okay.
I spoke to a couple of clubs over the phone before the season finished, and I'd made arrangements to sign for Sheffield Wednesday. So I more or less knew where I was going before the season finished.
Oh, you did.
So when Roy came in, obviously when Jim departed, Roy came in, and I thought, good decision for myself, because I thought...
I bet did he say, "Never forgiven you for that bloody Preston game"?
But he puts it in his book, actually. He mentions it in his autobiography, saying, I think one of his mistakes as an early manager, as a rookie manager, was to let me play against him. But
I think you're right.
When he got appointed, he we were all there was rumours going around that he was getting the job, and I was thinking, surely not. And you couldn't believe it. And then we were in the canteen and geared up for this meeting, and here he is. He comes in, and I'm sat at the front on the chair, and he's gone. His first words were, "All right, Tommy, didn't think you'd see me again, did you?" And I sort of grinned. And listen, I had nothing against him personally. You know what I mean? There was no fallout as such. It was maybe my face didn't fit. And like I said, when he first came in at Sunderland, I was injured, and in that time he brought a lot of players in, and I just could not get in the team. And then at Ipswich, I sort of, like I said, I knew where I was going, and I don't think he would have kept me anyway. He wanted to change things. He wanted to spend money, which he did. And you know what happened after that?
Yeah. Just Tommy, I've got to ask you just quickly, towards the end of that season, Giovanni Dos Santos.
Oh, super. Yeah, super. I mean,
again, as surprised as Roy Keane was, how about that?
We couldn't believe we got him. There was, again, speculation, and Jim was after a few different players, and we get to this lad, Dos Santos. Wow, I mean, what a talent. He didn't play many games on loan, but he certainly left his mark. The job was just give him the ball and he'll make things happen. And when he ran with the ball, he was only this little skinny little thing, you know what I mean? But you just couldn't get him off the ball. He skipped past players, and you know what I mean, a very good player. And obviously he went on to have a fantastic career at both club level and international level. Yeah,
what Roy Keane did say that was correct. He said there's no chance of him. Anyone who thinks different, there's no chance of him being back here next season. He got that spot on, didn't he? Unfortunately. So you go to Sheffield Wednesday the next season, 2-year contract. Brian Laws is manager. Again, it doesn't quite work out for him. He goes. Alan Irvine, I think, who to me always seems to be like the perennial caretaker manager from everywhere. He's appointed. Then again, relegation, final day draw with Palace, and you go down.
Yeah, that's right. It was a bit of a frustrating season for me. I got injured in pre-season. I tore my thigh muscle. I seemed to pick up a lot of muscle injuries that year. My hamstring, I didn't get back for the last sort of 6 games or whatever. I missed them. So again, watching from the stand, it was a disaster really getting relegated, because Sheffield Wednesday is a massive football club.
Oh yeah,
massive club, and to go down on the last day, like I said, was a disaster.
Yeah.
So disappointing.
And then the next season again is financial. They've got winding up order. Irving goes. Gary Megson comes in. 54, but again over 2 seasons, 54 appearances, 10 goals. So he's still chipping in with goals from midfield. And again, there was not again, but a bit of a contract issue at the end there, which meant he left.
Yeah, there was. When I'd signed for them, I signed a 2-year deal, and if I'd played so many games, it triggered an extra year, which a lot of players seem to have in the deals, or certainly did years ago. And it was approaching. I think I was about 3 or 4 away. And I was captain, Gary Megson came in, made me captain. I played all the games for him, and he just said, "Listen, we can't give you the deal what you're on now." And I said, "That's fair enough. I realise where the club is, but I'm sure." He said, "I'm sure we can rearrange something or come to an agreement. So we'll sit down at the end of the season." So towards the end of the season, I was pulled from the games. I didn't play. Obviously, didn't get to the right amount, which triggered the automatic deal. So my understanding was at the end of the season I was going to get a new deal, which he spoke about, gone in and he said, "Listen, you're going to have to move on. I'm going to go with a different sort of approach next year, and I'm going to get some other players in." And I was disappointed, because I thought I had a good relationship with him. Like I said, I was the captain. But listen, these things happen in football, and it shouldn't surprise you. And as much as I was angry and disappointed, and you get over it quickly, and I walked out the office, shook his hand, and I thought, well, there you go, see you later.
So next season you're off, you're packing your boots up again, Huddersfield.
Yeah, Lee Clark was the manager, and who I knew, and Paul Stevenson was the assistant manager who I'd played with at Hartlepool many years ago.
Newcastle, Gaza.
Newcastle as well. So he just said, come for a year. You know what I mean? We desperate to get out the league. Come for a year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. A very good football club, and we played good football. I was part of the team that I think they went 51 games unbeaten. Obviously, I didn't play in all them 51.
Yeah, but across it,
over, but it was a real strong team, and obviously we had Jordan Rhodes.
Oh yeah, well I've got to say, comfortably at the end of that season, 2011 and 12, probably one of the worst penalty shootouts I've ever seen.
The worst penalty.
Well, do you know what? Yours, I'll tell you what. I watched this again today. I've got to say, Tom, I watched this again today, and yours weren't a bad penalty. Alan Lee, the keeper, could have thrown his cap on it, couldn't he? And the worst penalty I think I've ever seen in my life, I think, was Damian Johnson.
Yeah, we missed our first 3.
It was 5 out of the first 6 penalties were missed.
It was a bizarre game. The final was a frustrating game. Nothing happening. It was a red hot day. It was absolutely sweltering.
Yeah.
And I remember we got to extra time, and I think I nearly scored about 5 minutes to go from the end, and Michael Doyle's cleared off the line, and it gets to the end, and it was penalty. So I've quickly gone into the changing rooms because I needed the toilet, and I've come back out, and Rhodes, he's sort of there with the ball, and he sort of chucked it at me and went, "You're up first." And I thought, all right, okay. So I had no time to think about it all. I just got the ball, walked up, and it's a long walk from the halfway line.
Yeah, especially on that weather, hot, heat, Yeah,
and I've gone to my favourite side, and I could have hit it better. There's no doubt about it. And he saved it, and you're thinking, oh, God, of all the places to miss. And like I said, we missed our first 3. And then...
nobody missed.
Pardon?
And then nobody missed. I mean,
nobody missed. And then the goalkeepers were taking them, and Alex Smithies took it for us and scored a great penalty, and obviously saved a few. And then it came to Steve Simonson, the Sheffield United keeper, and if he'd scored, I was back up. So all sorts of
course.
Things going on.
Oh my God, yeah.
As much as I'm so confident from the spot, I was bricking it because I'd already missed.
Imagine missing 2, and then they've scored. Don't even go there.
Exactly. So he plays it over the bar, and we win, and obviously a fantastic day. I mean, it would have been a disaster if we'd got beaten, obviously, to have missed a penalty. But we won, and it takes that away from it. You know what I mean?
How many times did you get to play at Wembley?
Just the once.
That was today. Wow, you got that. Yeah.
Yeah, I went with Halifax in the FA trophy a few years back, and we won that one. So, but to play obviously was just the once.
Fantastic. Yeah. I've got to just quickly dwell on the next season, only because Paolo Di Canio. Talk me through it.
Absolutely loved him. What a character. It was funny because I'd left Huddersfield. Again, Simon Grayson came into the back end of the season, and another one. I thought I did quite well for him. But listen, managers are, you know what I mean, they have different ideas and bits and bobs, and things change. So didn't stay at Huddersfield. And I get a phone call. I was in the garden one day, and it was I didn't recognise the number, so I didn't answer it. I thought they'll leave a message if they want me. And he left a message, and it was, "Hi, this is Phil Spencer here, Paolo Di Canio's agent. Can you give me a ring back?" And I'm thinking, Phil Spencer? I thought, location. Someone is having me off here. Winding me up.
Yeah.
So I just left it. I didn't ring back. And then the next day, it rang again. And I'm thinking, I best answer this. And so I'm ringing, and I'm sort of listening, and he's going, "Yes, Paolo Di Canio wants you to come to Swindon and have a chat and wants to sign you, blah, blah, blah. Can you come to Swindon tomorrow?" So I thought, this must be real. So I thought, yeah, I'll get the train down tomorrow and I'll come and have a chat. So I get the train down, gone into his office, and there's him and his assistant and the goalkeeper coach and fitness coach there, all Italian. And I was blown away with what he had to say. You know, he was so passionate, so in your face, just so demanding. What a character. And he went, "This English mentality of days off," he said, "no chance." He said, "Wednesday is off in the middle of the week, most important day." He said, "We train every day, we train hard." And I'm thinking to myself, no days off? You must get a day off. Well, I signed, and I think we got the 76 days before we got a day off. And I think that was travelling back from Italy, which was the hardest pre-season ever, for 2 weeks. But I was in fantastic shape and felt so fit.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was relentless, but I absolutely loved it. He was a fantastic coach, very passionate.
Really? Coach, yeah, good ideas and
different.
I think when he played,
He was so good with the defenders and so good with the, you know what I mean, in the units, working with the shape. He had this Italian sort of style, the methods of the defending, and I loved it. I learned so much off him. And listen, his man management skills weren't great at times. You know, he'd blow a fuse, and obviously you saw what happened when he brought the keeper off, you know what I mean, against Preston. But and we'd have videos at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, you know, match analysis, and he would go through everything, every detail. But I loved him. Honestly, I really, really enjoyed it.
Well, it must have been what an absolute experience.
He was a legend.
Tell me, he made you guys stand in front of the video and watch his goal 100 times against Wimbledon. The scissor volley.
That volley.
Still the best goal I think I've ever seen. Unbelievable. Yeah. Did he ever join in? Could he still do it? Did he ever join in training? Could he still do it?
Little bits in the shooting drills. You know, he'd do a few volleys, and he was still in fantastic shape. You know what I mean? There was nothing on him. He was powerful and strong. Yeah. But his methods, and like I said, I enjoy.
Man, he's one of my favourite players in the Premier League. That's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So from there, you off to Bury for a season under Kevin Blackwell, yeah?
It was, yeah. And again, like I said before, Kevin Blackwell tried to sign me at Leeds.
Yeah.
They were having a few money problems. The season had already started. He offered me to come down. I think it was end of September, and he said, "Listen, can you come and play for me? I need your sort of player in midfield."
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't getting box to box then. I was more or less just sitting in front and, you know what I mean, trying to get on the ball a bit, which wasn't my biggest strength, but I felt I could do it at that level, you know what I mean, with my experience. Went there, and he didn't last much, you know what I mean. He got the sack. Again, it was a struggle, you know what I mean. I was travelling every day. I was doing the commute. It was 2 hours there, 2 hours back. But it was an eye-opener, you know what I mean. And the football was great.
Obviously, as an ex-Bury player, sad to see the demise of the club.
Oh yeah, because it's a big club, a very big club, you know, and the fans would turn in, week out, regardless of how we were doing. Yeah, and travelling the numbers through away games. It's a real shame, you know. A great stand, a great ground, everything about it was. It's such a shame, and you know what I mean. I hope to see them come back in some way, you know what I mean, in the next couple of years.
Just quickly, one thing I meant to ask you about your last spell at Ipswich, and as you progress through your career, did your role change, your midfield role change slightly? You started getting perhaps playing a bit deeper role.
Definitely, and I think when I left Ipswich, under Joe Royal, it changed when I went with Sunderland with Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying I would have gotten the goals, if I was playing higher up, because in the Premier League you don't get that many chances and you're playing against better players. And I realised we were the underdogs in many a game and we had to stay behind the ball and keep our shape and all sorts of stuff. But when I went there, it was a sort of, the shackles were on me a little bit, because I played alongside Dean Whitehead, who liked to get forward as well, a fantastic athlete who would get in the box. And I didn't have the licence to get forward, or certainly the free sort of reign like I did at Ipswich. And if Ipswich had gotten promoted to the Premier League, which we should have done, I believe, listen, it's easy to say it, but I believe I would have been a better fit in Joe's team, because obviously he knew how to get the best out of me, whereas I've gone to Sunderland and Mick. And listen, it's not Mick's fault. I'm just saying my game had to change because of personnel around me.
Yeah,
and obviously the Premier League as well. It was a harder league, and like I said, you weren't going to get the chances like I did in the Championship.
To be fair, mate, you are doing yourself down, because you were joint top scorer that season, don't you? With 3.
Yeah,
I think there were about 4 of you. I think it was you, Dean Whitehead, and I can't remember who else. But
big numbers.
Including what I did see. This must have been quite sweet for you. You scored in a rare win, a 2-0 win over Middlesbrough.
I did. It's funny, because where I live, there's quite a lot of Middlesbrough fans.
Yeah.
So I used to get a lot of stick going in the pub, and they used to say, "Oh, you get beat again," and you know what I mean. So I made sure I went in the pub after that game, because I thought, surely they'll buy me a pint, and not one of them mentioned it. But that was our first Premier League win, and it was live on Sky, and it was a monkey off our back, even though it obviously didn't kick on as we liked.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience, and obviously a good result, and to get me first Sunderland goal.
Just quickly, what we should have spoken about, the Sunderland fan base, always looked upon as being fairly fanatical.
Massive. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say this: it's the best place to play when it's going well.
Yeah.
But when it's not, it's tough, and you've got to you've got to be mentally tough.
Yeah.
And I am, and lots of players are.
Yeah.
So you've got to. And I had friends and family, who would bug me every week. What's going on? What's happening? Why aren't you doing this? And why is that? And I felt it a lot, because obviously I'm from the region, and I used to get it quite a lot, which I could handle. But like I just said, at the same time, when it's going well, there's no better place, because they have that stadium rocking.
Yeah. And finally, last season, 2015-16, you dropped down to and joined Halifax. Bit of a swan song at Halifax.
Yeah, I had a year at Hartlepool quickly just after I left.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you did. Sorry, I missed. Yeah, you did. 15 appearances, and then you end up at Halifax.
Yeah. Right. At Hartlepool, it was sort of littered by Willie Donaghy came in as assistant manager, actually.
Wow.
So
who was manager then?
Paul Murray got the job. Colin Cooper signed me.
Right.
Colin Cooper, and then he moved on, and Paul Murray came in, and again it was a struggle. And I got injured against Cambridge away, tore my calf, and I never ever got back until the last 2 or 3 games of the season, where we were fighting for survival under Ronnie Moore. I sort of knew I kept breaking down. I kept trying to come back, and my calf just kept sort of coming. I kept re-tearing it. I went to London for all these tests, and I was on 599 games, so it was bugging me, because I've got a bit of OCD. So I thought I need one more game, and I managed to get on for one more game and get 600 in.
600 per hour, brilliant, mate. That's superb.
That's me, and that was sort of a sign. Maybe that's time to. So Halifax came in, and they were part-time.
Yeah,
and it suited me. Again, I didn't sign early. I signed sort of September, October time, so I missed the start of the season. They were having a bit of a bad start. And the manager got the sack after my first game, and the assistant manager got the job, and he just said, "Listen, Tommy, will you help me out?" And I helped him out till the end of the season, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And that was my sort of coaching experience. Apart from a brief spell at Swindon when Di Canio walked out, me and Darren Ward took the team for 2 games, played both player managers, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But again, we both still wanted to play, so it was hard doing the both roles.
So you're still involved sort of full time with Spennymoor, or how does it?
Yeah, Spennymoor's part-time team.
Yeah.
So we train on a Tuesday night to Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic club. It is going in the right direction. The chairman, Bradley Groves, is a very ambitious man. You know what I mean? He is on the ball all the time, and he has big plans for the club. The manager, Jason Haynes, has been there a number of years, a bit of a legend there. You know what I mean? He's took them through the leagues, and I've jumped on it, you know, the last sort of 4 years and thoroughly enjoyed my time. You know, I'm going through the coaching badges. I was on my A licence with Kieran,
nice one.
and Kelvin last summer. So that I'm just finishing that off now, and obviously I have ambitions to be a manager, and you know what I mean. That's what I want to do.
Perhaps back here one day. You never know.
Never know. You never know. You never know.
Just quickly, Tommy, before we finish up. Best player you played with?
Well, certainly at Ipswich it was Pablo, just because of the chemistry and the sort of understanding I had. Like I said, I didn't have to look. I could play the ball around my corner. He was instantly there, and we had an instant sort of connection and link up. Jimmy John, obviously, is a midfielder. He was one sort of who I'd look up to because of how good he was on the ball and how good he used to run games. He used to dictate games.
Boss
games, So certainly my best years were at Ipswich, and certainly if I was to say better players, they were up there, you know what I mean? But Pablo, because of the link up we had and the understanding we had.
Yeah, it's nice to say that. Yeah, I really enjoy those days. Funny you should talk about Jim, because my colleague Stat, who I think made contact with you in the first place, has just done a similar thing with Jim. It was over 4 parts.
I listened to it. I listened to it as I was painting the fence these last few weeks, and I've had a lot of fence to paint and shed and trellising. I've stuck it on, and it was a great listen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it shows you how passionate he is, and
Passion.
It still is for the club. And
yeah,
it's just a shame how it happened, how it finished for him as a manager, because I've said this before, I've done newspaper sort of columns and bits and bobs, that if Jim had been given the money, managers had been given after him, he'd have gotten them, I'm sure, to win, because they weren't far away. They weren't.
No, Tommy, I think you're right, and the crowd would have been, you know, the fans would have been with him, and it was just, you know, you go back just quickly, you know, just to we go back to that time with Roy Keane, and I remember seeing it on Sky Sports and thinking, oh, this is not happening, and then obviously you see it announced, and you think, well, and I remember I got a call from a good friend of mine from the States, big football fan at the States, Irish guy, so love Roy Keane, saying, oh, that's it, you're promoted then, you know, next season you'll walk it, and we all know, but yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
It is.
So Tommy, absolutely brilliant, mate. Thanks ever so much for agreeing to doing this. Absolute pleasure. You've given me and I know everyone a lot of pleasure down the years at Ipswich. Thanks for all your efforts there. And just quickly, so in summary, I'll get you 520 league games. 520 league game, yeah.
Yeah, it was 600 altogether. So obviously with the cup games and stuff like that, and I think I was on 114 or something like that goal. So yeah, listen, I enjoyed every minute of it. Yes, there was highs, yes, there was lows, but it's a fantastic sport, a fantastic career. It's something I dreamed of when I was a young kid, and obviously I've lived the dream, and it feels like I'm starting off over again now in terms of coaching, managing, and trying to get back up there, and one day hopefully it can happen, and hopefully it will. So
have you got kids who are interested, kids who are playing?
Yeah, I've got twins. I've got a boy and a girl, and Tom and Freya, they're 13-year-old, 14 in October. So my little lad loves football. You know, he eats, sleeps, drinks it. He goes to bed with his ball, I think, just like Jim Magilton does. But he's in the garden, he watches it. And then my daughter, she likes her gymnastics.
Brilliant,
so we're pretty active as a yeah.
You're involved with a bit of homeschooling as well at the moment, then.
Yeah, it's not so bad because they sort of crack on themselves. You know, they're a good age, and they're asking me at times, "How do you do this?" And I look at it and I'm thinking, "That's not how I did it when I was at school." So.
Oh, you were playing football at school, weren't you? I mean, that's what it was. That's what it was.
I was getting the train to Ipswich. You know?
There you go. Just before we go, I've got a story, and I don't really remember this. Many, many years ago, during your first spell at Portman Road, I was at a corporate event with you, right? I know you remember this, and you gave me a lift home in your Audi TT.
I can, very vaguely.
No way.
I can. Now, this was mentioned before by Renegade Statman, actually.
So there you go.
He was on and he mentioned it, and I thought,
I tell you what,
I vaguely remember that.
He never believes me, but I said we were going over against. We do like a history pod. We did one a couple of years back, and your name came up. I don't know what game it was. Could have been the Portsmouth game. Your name came up, and I said, I've got a great story to tell. I've got a great story. I said, here's a guy. He said, oh, where do you live? And I said, oh, Rushmere. He said, I live at Kesgrove. I'll give you a lift home. And I thought, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. And then literally get towards the end, he said, oh, Dave, you all right? Yeah, okay. So, blimey, fantastic. Never forget that. Save me a taxi. Brilliant, mate. No, Tommy, thanks ever so much. A real pleasure. Thanks for coming on, and good luck with everything at Spennymoor and for the future.
Yeah, thanks very much. Listen, hopefully Ipswich. Obviously, we want football back. As quickly as possible, and when it's safe to do so, and hopefully Ipswich can get back to certainly the Championship where they deserve, and hopefully pushing on to the Premier League.
I hope so, mate. Fantastic. Thanks ever so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Keep safe.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.